Hello there and welcome to the Live Lounge here at Fastmarkets Middle East Iron and Steel event. Now, I'm Georgia Tolley and I'm delighted to say joining me here in the Live Lounge today is Nitin Kavadia. He is the director of Calderys in the Middle East and also in Africa, where he leads the company's regional expansion across the refractories market. With a career spanning over 2 decades and multiple global regions, Nitin has earned a really strong reputation for strategic leadership in industries from manufacturing all the way through to investment banking. From pioneering greenfield projects to driving large-scale transformation, his impact has been felt across multiple continents and also markets. So let's do a bit of a dive into Nitin's journey and insights as a leader in this fast-evolving industry. Nitin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Georgia.
Good to have you with us. Interesting career. I'm already intrigued. This idea that you've spanned multiple different industries, from investment banking all the way through to manufacturing, and also from science to strategy at Calderys.
Yes.
So can you walk us through your journey and what led you to this particular role?
Absolutely, surely. First of all, thank you for that generous introduction. It's not every day you hear so many good words. So really thank you. And thank you for this opportunity in the live launch. I'm a big fan, so nice talking to you. About the journey, yes, the journey had been quite interesting and adventurous. I've lived in 9 different cities globally, working in 8 different roles in 3 different domains. So yes, it had been quite diverse. And I think the big thread that joins my story is the ability to solve the problems. And that's the very cliched but a very simple element that I've lived by. So solve problems. And coming from a middle class background in India, that came from a very young age to me. I became an engineer, so that helped me further. And then I joined science, as you said. So I was part as a scientist in Indian Defence Research Organization. And that kind of helped me to kind of understand the problems on the real world from a scientific perspective. And then later on, I evolved further and then kind of said that, okay, this is one type of problem. There might be other problems also. And then that's how I stumbled into investment banking, services in Genpact, and in Calderys as well, where I dealt about with the corporate problems, with the strategy, which is evolving of the organization, which is markets. So actually, this was a gradual movement from solving problem of one kind to another. And then eventually right now I'm working in the most, you can say, according to me, the most complex problem of having organizational behavior or people management. That's what I'm working on right now with the people here. And that's what my current role is, to manage the people here in Middle East to grab this opportunity. So that has been my journey in a nutshell, to solve problems from one domain to another. And I would say that it would be unfair to say my journey has been on a standalone basis. There were 2 very important factors. One is family. You cannot live in 9 cities without a family support. Exactly.
9 cities?
Yes.
Better, you're more than me. I'm impressed by that. That's a lot.
Thank you so much. And then, yes, luck. You need to have the luck to be in the right position at the right time and with the right mentor. So that's in a nutshell my journey across.
I really like the modesty there, the humility in admitting that there might be some luck involved.
Yes.
But I bet that throughout your career there's been some really key lessons that you've learned. Was there a particular challenge maybe that shaped your leadership approach?
Yes, I think so. My path, largely I was entwined with Calderys. So I think so it might be good to kind of have an understanding of Calderys just a little bit.
Yes.
And that kind of will help me to take you to the lessons that I've learned, because they are very much entwined together. So Calderys is a global organization. We are into refractory. Very few people know about the specific niche field, but essentially what we do is we help any high temperature areas, be it steel or cement, and impart them stability, like a safety of their environment and the continuous availability of their equipment. So that's in a nutshell what our services and products do. We are spread across 50 plants across from America till Japan, about 30 different nationalities, 20,000 customers. So you can imagine that this is a very, very diverse organization serving more than 10 industries. And that itself kind of resonates with me as well. That allowed me to experiment, work on various environments. And the two main, you can say, lessons that I learned from this experimentation and working in such a diverse environment was one, business is only about people. I think so. Whatever domain I've worked at, numbers always follow people. So if you take care of people, which is very easier said than done. It's not so easy to kind of just say that, okay, everybody says people are the most important part, but to employ in your daily decision making, that mindset is a difficult one. So yes, business is about people and numbers follow. And secondly, I think so one thing that I clearly kind of believe, the second lesson is culture eats strategy for breakfast. You may have the best strategy in the world, but if you're not taking care of the culture, actually your strategy will fail. So I have a concrete example where in one of the developing, I can't take the exact name, but one of the developing nations, we had the best of the strategy, all the market analysis aligned, this and that. And then we landed there and we said that, okay, let's incentivize our salespeople the same way as we do in Americas. And it fell flat because the culture was very different and we never were able to execute our strategy. So this is where I think the two main lessons I learned is business is all about people and culture is a very important part.
Okay, so thinking back to the start of your career, what was the best piece of advice you ever received? Did what you just said there about culture and strategy?
Yep.
Was that something you learned on the job, or did someone give you that advice? Did you have a mentor, for example?
Yes, you cannot live in this and you cannot journey through this long and diverse field without mentors. So I was lucky to have mentors across. Still now I have mentors. The point is that at least I don't believe that there's somebody who comes and gives you that nugget. It's actually go through various experiences, anecdotes, and you form your own kind of, this is what is something that is telling me my part of being. And I believe the one thing that I believe and which came as a good advice to me was career is not a short sprint. Career is like a marathon. Mm-hmm. So you have to take step by step. You cannot have a linear approach to a career that, okay, now I've become a manager, now a vice president, now a CEO. You have to look at career in the sense what this opportunity and this time is giving you. Are you able to solve a problem? Are you able to solve a situation? And that allows you to grow further in your skill set rather than in your designation. And that actually helped me a lot when I left actually investment banking, because it was not so easy with leaving that money on the table.
Very hard, yeah.
And going back, but it was the prime driver for me. I looked at, okay, I have to spend 40 years, and 40 years doesn't come only based on money. So there has to be something more than that. So that is the motto by which I kind of early on somebody told me, and then I lived by that.
Okay, so when you think about success, it sounds like it's not just money for you. It's not just how much you or a company earns. How do you sort of define it for yourself, and how do you define it for the industry? So, what key factors have driven success for Calderys, for example?
Actually, I believe that company success factors and individual success factors have to be aligned. Then only you can sustain in an organization. And that's why, again, coming back to Calderys, because that's where I have spent a lot of time. For me, Calderys' success factors are actually aligned with my success factors, and that's why we are kind of going forward. And that's why if I look at Calderys' success factors, they are more about sustainable long-term evaluation and delivery of that value. And that's why Calderys has been in the business for the last 100 years. If they were also chasing money, I think so we would not have been built up a brand just for the last 100 years based on that. And as I told you, we are into an environment across diverse industries where we need to impart safety and a consistent availability to the customers. And this can only come if we as Calderys place more value on the customers' you can say availability or customers' pain points rather than earning more money right now. And this is exactly my success factors are also. It's actually seeing that, okay, what if Nitin is not there in the organization tomorrow? Still there are people who will able to run the organization in the same way. So we have to impart sustainability, not in the buzzword fashion, but across all the domains that you work with. And then KPI, for me, sometimes people kind of correlate KPIs with success, but for me, success factors are not KPI, they are the outcomes. Results will always follow if you follow the basic fundamentals. So this is what I believe in.
It's very interesting. Clearly, trust is very important in your business as well. And of course, Calderys has been expanding its reach across the Middle East and Africa, your markets. what are the unique opportunities that you see in this region?
Absolutely. So actually, Calderys was actually realized this particular region's potential way back. So we were actually the first refractory players in the world to be present here physically back in 2000s. Actually, there was nothing. We came with a bag and said, okay, where to set up now? And that's how we started here. And we took a bet. And from there onward, we started building relationships and trust, which you said is a very important part, and especially in this part of the world. So yes, we realized the potential of this region very early. We invested, we keep on investing in this region. And then I believe the greatest opportunity right now are on two factors, which I see here. One is the inherent growth that we can see here. Like, this is the only region where you can see, apart from few other regions, where you have 20 million ton of new steel production getting added, 5 million ton of aluminium getting added. So there is really action happening on the ground, which is more tangible to capture. And secondly, I think so this is the very few last regions left in the world where diversity of talent is still recognized and respected. So it doesn't matter which background you come from, as long as you can deliver value, you are trusted and respected here. So these are two very unique opportunities, because then I'm not restricted by I need to look at only one region for my hiring of talent or preparing a value proposition for my client. The challenges, as with any growing industry, the challenges are also there. The challenges, it's a very fast evolving market. So the evolution of your regulations, the geopolitical situation, which you're very well aware of. So these are always the things that you have to be nimble about to move around the things. Otherwise, any opportunity has challenges, and you have to overcome the challenges. And here the challenges are about how fast you can adapt to these changing regulations and the geopolitical situations.
It's really interesting to hear you say there that it doesn't matter what country you come from, you can succeed in this country. It's very true, and I haven't heard it sort of expressed so clearly in the past. Now, I'm going to look at your transformation projects that you've managed, because you led some really significant strategies, including multi-million euro restructuring. So what were the biggest hurdles when you were going through that, and what advice would you give to people? Because I imagine we are entering quite a period of flux in the industry right now. A lot of people are going to have to make changes.
Transformation is another a buzzword, so as to speak. Everybody wants to transform.
They do?
Yes.
Using AI, usually.
Exactly. There is AI now, there was something else in the past. So yes, transformation I think the change is constant for us. I was part of a transformation where we actually touched upon not only one or two aspects, but the entire organization. So we kind of merged multiple divisions and converged into few divisions, just to give you the background. And then we kind of also touched upon more than 28,000 people. We touched upon all the kind of functions, right from sales to marketing to operations to IT. So that was the scale of transformation that that I was involved in, and that's what I can draw my conclusions and share with you. I think so. The point on the transformation where I can see the hurdles are mainly two, which I saw. One is on the organizational level. So whether the organizational goal is clear, are we doing transformation just for the sake of it? Or actually there is a real burning platform, and because of which we are doing a transformation. It's not so easy to define this, but I think so that's a very, very critical point. If your starting point is weak, I think so your transformation will actually have a lot of issues as we go forward. So that was one area that we spent a lot of time during our transformation. We're trying to really assess and be true to ourselves whether this transformation is really required and which areas it is required. I think the second biggest hurdle which I saw was a personal goal and a personal bias. I think so transformation at the end is done by human beings. We say it's organization, but at the end of the day, the persons who are executing the transformation are human beings. And that means there will always be a point of personal bias. I will give an example. I want to transform my sales team because I want to align them to the new market. But if as a person who is part of transformation, I'm biased that, okay, my sales team does lack this, lacks that, and then I create my organization around that constraint, actually I'm falling to my personal bias. But if I turn it around and say, okay, this is what is required as a success factor, and then what is the mapping of my skill sets available, and then taking it is a much better way. But yes, it's all these things are easier said than done. But yes, they are the two important parts.
It does, you're right, always come down to the individual. And for young professionals who are interested in this field, what advice would you give? Because I know there is a real skills shortage, not just in this, but in the construction. There's lots of the less glamorous fields.
Exactly.
Everyone wants to be a footballer or a blogger now. No one wants to, manage.
Work in the heavy field.
Yeah. But they're wrong, because I think loads of people such as yourself have had incredibly rewarding careers. And I think maybe it's just the messaging isn't there.
Yeah. First of all, I'm also young.
You are also young. It must be highlighted. I'm thinking of your 18-year-olds. We're not there at the moment, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah. Your 18-year-olds.
Jokes apart.
Yes.
But I think so. Youngsters, especially young professionals, I believe they're similar to athletes, young athletes, because they're full of energy. So I think so we should tap into that. But at the same time, the young professionals today actually miss the point that, like young athletes, they have to spend a lot of time on building their fundamental base and skills. And if they don't do that, imagining to be a CEO as ASAP is always going to fall short of it. So I think so, just like athlete, even the organization had to spend the time, and that's what even like for Calderys we are doing. We are investing in the young people to make them understand the fundamentals are very, very important. And these fundamentals being, number one, data-driven analysis. You have to, as a young person, because you're not a decision maker yet, but you can actually help to make decision in your organization through a data-driven analysis. So how strong in you're that? Now technology is available, so leverage that technology. Second is communication. I think so. It's by far, everybody says that. So written, oral is definitely one of the piece, but I think so listening is another very, very important skill set that the young people have to understand, because many times I feel that they have a notion they know everything. So that listening part has to be there. And third is, I think so they have to start working on processes. A process is what defines any organization to impart its sustainability. So if at a young age, if you start understanding the nuances of how to make a process and implement it, I think that will help any individual to go a long way in any organization. And that's what even many times in Calderys, we kind of build a pillar. We have many initiatives like Learn for Life, where we impart them these life skills on a regular basis.
Where do you look to for inspiration now? Because obviously you've reached a certain level in your career.
Yeah.
Do you listen to sort of podcasts? Do you read those books that you see on the top, the non-fiction top shelf?
Sorry to disappoint. I'm not so much, because first of all, I read every kind of genre, be it Harry Potter to any of these non-fictional top shelf genre.
Yes.
So because at least personally, I believe you can do a learning from any which way. So I am open to any kind of medium, be it radio, be it podcast, etc. And nowadays with the traffic in Dubai, you get a lot of time in the car to spend on time on these stuff. So yes, I spend across multiple genres. I read across multiple things. There are a few thinkers which I really like for example, Naval Ravikant. I really love the way he puts across in a very simple manner the essence of life. I love to read about history, World War, etc., because that gives me a perspective of why a person behaved in a certain fashion in that context. So this is what I kind of spend more of the time on.
Okay, so my final question for you is one that I've been asking everyone who has come through the Live Lounge, because today's conference theme, or this week's conference theme, is Transform Tomorrow Together. So within that framework, what do you see as the most exciting opportunities for your industry?
I think so the biggest opportunity is the energy transition. We are all going through it. I think that this is going to impact a lot of us in the way we use energy, and especially this industry, iron and steel industry is impacted by it the most. And that's where I believe the biggest opportunity for all of us is that how to help this industry move on the energy side, move from this fossil fuel based kind of consumption pattern to a more greener consumption pattern. And this is where even Calderys is doing a lot of work on innovation. We have combined our forces with Hubinson Walker, which is an American company. And this has allowed us to work on multiple avenues, reducing the carbon footprint for our customers, to helping them to kind of extend the life of the products that you're using technology and AI. So yes, I think so this is very much relevant now, and energy transition you cannot ignore in today's world.
Nitin, it's been an absolutely fascinating
Thank you.
conversation. Thank you very much indeed. I'm sure our Live Lounge listeners have enjoyed it, and if you're listening back home right now and you enjoyed the interview, please make sure you subscribe. Of course, you can do that via Apple, Amazon, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, if you want to find out more about our upcoming events in the steel industry, then please head over to the metals section and look for events on fastmarkets.com.